Hi everyone, my name is Jamie and I am a first year emergency medicine resident. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about 5 habits that changed my life. And these aren't necessarily things that came naturally to me, but rather they're habits that were developed in my adult life. And I feel like they played a really big role in who I am as a person now. Habit number 1 is exercise. Like most of you, I was probably introduced to working out and fitness as a middle school and high school student. I tried out for a bunch of different sports. I did swim team, I did soccer, and I really wasn't very good at these sports. I remember in soccer team, no one wanted to put me in, so I was always on the sidelines, and that made me really mad and sad. And on the swim team, I just couldn't figure out how to dive head first, so I would always kind of belly flop, and that was just embarrassing. So I kind of grew up thinking I just wasn't good at fitness, and I wasn't good at working out or sports and things like that. But right after college and before medical school, I was introduced to working out, lifting, and maybe even a little bit of running. And I realized that fitness really isn't about being good at it, but it's rather something that you do to better yourself and improve yourself. And I think having this mindset of not having to be necessarily good at it, but just enjoying the benefits of fitness have been a really great change in my mindset. So now that I'm in residency, whenever I'm stressed or whenever I am tired, incorporating fitness into my lifestyle has been really beneficial, and I'm really glad that this has become one of my habits because I know that even as I get older, this is something that I can definitely benefit from. Habit number 2 is cleaning and organizing as I go. So I wasn't the cleanest or the most organized child growing up, and my mom used to give me a hard time about leaving my clothes everywhere and never making my bed, and in general being a messy person. But something that I realized during college and especially in med school is that if my environment is messy, then I have a hard time focusing, and I end up being more distracted and not making the most of my study time. So some of the habits that I picked up throughout these years is really making the most of my scrap time and cleaning up and organizing as I go. So for example, if I'm doing a meal prep or making a big meal and there's dishes piling up and the kitchen is just dirty and whatever, something that I'll do is while the food is cooking, if there's any downtime, I'll do the dishes during that time so that it's not so overwhelming at the end of the cooking. Another thing that I do is making my bed in the morning. I think that's just a great way to kind of start your day off with a positive mindset, and also it helps you not go back into bed when you're not supposed to. I think it's like one of the small gestures that you can make that just puts you in the right mindset, and it also just looks nice and makes you feel good when you come home at the end of a long day to see a nicely made bed. So just spending 5 or 10 minutes here and there to pick up after yourself and cleaning up the house means that you don't have to spend a ton of time in one day to have a cleaning day, but you can have generally a clean environment for you to focus and do your best work in. Habit number 3 is time management, and especially writing things down. One of the first things that I do when I get my schedule now is putting everything into my Google Calendar. And every time I have a big to-do list, I like to write them down because I think having them in my head just kind of clutters my mind, and I feel like I spend a lot of energy trying not to forget the things that I have to do. That it's actually a waste of my energy. And once I write them down and cross them off as I do them, it feels nice because I feel like I'm actually getting things done, but it's also helpful because I'm not forgetting anything that I have to do. And this is something that has come in really handy when I'm seeing multiple patients. I feel like there's so many things that are to be done, and there's a lot of things that I often forget. So I started writing everything down on a piece of paper so that I don't forget. And I think it really just helps to clear your cognitive load so that you don't have to spend any energy on trying to remember things, but you can focus more of your energy on actually getting things done. Habit number 4 is having a selective memory, and I know that sounds a little weird, but what I mean by that is remembering the positives and learning from the hard times. So I think being optimistic and having an optimistic outlook comes more naturally to some people than others, and I think for me that's something that I need to actually explicitly think about and try to do. And something that I like to do when I'm going through a hard time is thinking back to another time in the past when I had a difficult time, and I try to frame those past experiences in a way so that I think mostly about all the lessons that I learned and how much I matured over those times. An example of that is probably the 3rd year of medical school, which I think is probably the hardest year of medical school. And for me, especially my medicine rotation was the hardest time of my 3rd year. And I know from thinking back that I had a hard time and there were days when I really didn't like it, but remembering back to my medicine rotation now, I just remember how much I learned during those times and how helpful the residents were and how helpful the attendings were and how much better of a medical student I became because of those experiences. And I think framing your past experiences in this way really helps you be more optimistic and more resilient when it comes to going through a difficult time now, because you know that in the future you'll think back and you'll realize how much you learned through these experiences. Habit number 5 is JOMO, or joy of missing out. So in this day and age, especially with social media, I think there's a lot of FOMO, or fear of missing out. And I think everyone just looks like they're having so much fun out at a party or whatever it is that they're doing and posting on social media. But something I realized during medical school is that there's actually a lot of joy to be found in doing things that you love and prioritizing the people that are important to you in your life. So this may not necessarily mean you're going out to a party or some big event, but it might mean that taking time at home and making the most of the precious free time that you have. So I read this quote once that says, stress is caused by being here but wanting to be there. So I think eliminating that fear of wanting to be somewhere else and really enjoying the time that you have and the moment that you're in right now can eliminate a lot of stress, and it can help you make the most of the time that you have. Before I close today's video, I'd like to thank Brilliant for supporting today's video. One of the most common questions I get about medical school is whether you have to be good at math and science to get into med school. And I think the short answer is yes, because there's a heavy emphasis on math and science in the medical school entrance exam, as well as the pre-med curriculum. One of the reasons why many students struggle with math and sciences is because we're often taught these subjects in a passive learning environment, like sitting in a lecture hall, when these are topics that are best learned by actually doing the problem solving and interacting with the subject matter. So Brilliant is a website that teaches you complex concepts like algebra, calculus, statistics, physics, and break them up into bite-sized concepts and help you master them through interactive problem solving interface. To support this channel and learn more about Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/TheStriveToFit and sign up for free. The first 200 people that use the link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription, so make sure to try it out before it runs out. So that's it for today's video. Please share with me down below on your habits that change your life. And if you want to check out any other videos, you can do so right over this way. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by going to TheStriveToFit.com and checking out some of my merchandise. And if you're not already following me on Instagram or Twitter, you can do so at TheStriveToFit. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!